Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Candela. I'm a hypnotherapist and a transformation coach. Welcome to my channel. You're about to listen to a recording of one of my regression sessions. Enjoy. I'd like you to tell me the very first thing that you see below you, or the very first impressions that you get as you reach the surface.
I'm in a village standing on cobblestones. The street is narrow. There are buildings, houses on both sides.
Do you see any people around you?
Yes.
Describe them to me. How are you dressed?
I see women in long dresses and aprons and white kerchiefs. It looks like heavy shoes on their feet, maybe wooden. I see men in leather pants and rough shirts. These are working village people, it seems like.
Now I'd like you to look down at your own feet and tell me what you're wearing on your feet.
I'm wearing leather boots with leather laces. They're very rough. They look like peasant boots.
And now become aware of the rest of your body and tell me what you're wearing on your body.
I'm wearing, again, rough leather trousers and a rough jacket that's over like a linen shirt. The jacket is tied with leather laces. I have a leather belt. It's sort of like what Robin Hood would wear.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing you're in a male body?
I am in a male body, yes.
Okay. And are you young or old?
I would say about 30.
Mm-hmm. Do you consider yourself young?
Yes.
Okay. Are you healthy?
Yes.
Very good. And so as you're standing there on that cobble street and looking around you, does it feel like a familiar place?
Yes, this is home. This feels like home.
Okay, very good. And do you know where you're heading now, or why you're there on the street?
I don't.
Okay. So on the count of 3, you're going to see yourself standing in front of the place where you live. 1, 2, and 3. And tell me what you see.
I see what looks like a Tudor-style home. It's easily 2 stories plus a dormer on the top with stucco and half timber. It looks like a house you would see in England, for instance.
And what do you see next to the house or around it?
The house has similar houses on either side. These houses are at the end of a lane. To one side, it looks like there's a blacksmith business, and on the other side, I see a woman selling vegetables.
And so go ahead and enter this house, and then take me on a little tour and describe to me what you see inside.
It's a rough wooden door. I go in and I see a living area. There's a fireplace. There's a fire lit. I think there's a stew pot in the fireplace. I see glass windows, rough furniture. There's a stairway leading up to the left from the fireplace. I think that's where bedrooms are.
And you can go ahead and go upstairs.
Okay. Yes, there's a bedroom. I see a bed and a crib in that room. And across the hallway there is a room that has a table, a desk. It's my workspace.
And what do you do in that workspace?
I write at this space.
So you're a writer?
Yeah.
What do you write?
Poems, sonnets.
What do you do with them once they're written?
They're published and sent around England.
I see. So we'll come back to your work, but tell me who else lives in this house with you?
I don't see anyone else. I see a woman's bonnet hanging on a peg on the wall, maybe a dress, and I see the crib, so it feels like I have a wife and a child, but I don't see them.
Okay. And you'll just become aware where they are. Did they just step out?
They're visiting family.
For how long?
Just a week.
Where is their family?
It's in a neighboring town, but it's an easy half-day walk. They've taken a cow to my parents. They're with my parents.
Did they walk with the cow?
They did.
And why did they take a cow to your parents?
My parents' cow has died, and my wife is bringing them another cow, a milk cow.
How did you get the news about the death of the cow? How do you communicate?
My father came to tell me the news of the cow.
I see. And how old is your child?
5.
Okay. Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a little boy.
Tell me about your wife.
She has long, brownish, blonde hair and a very pleasant, kind face. Her hands are rough. She works hard. She's very simply dressed.
And how is your relationship with her?
Good. We love each other.
Good. Tell me more about your town. How big is it?
I feel like where I live is on the edge of a big town. Possibly this is on the edge of London, actually. But where I live feels like a village.
Have you always lived there, or did you move there? Being a poet, you would probably want to be closer to a larger town.
We've always lived here.
And what kind of schooling did you get?
I think I went to university. I think I went to Oxford.
Tell me about your time at Oxford.
That was a time of great fun. There was lots of drinking and laughing with friends and enjoying the city and attending lectures and reading. Classes were small, around a table with a professor called the tutor, and we would read and discuss, and I loved the reading and I loved the discussing of great works of literature.
So I'd like you to zoom in into one of those discussions and become aware of what piece of literature you're discussing.
A work by John Milton, and we're discussing the nature of gifts. What does it mean to give a gift? What does it mean to receive a gift? How does one share a gift? And where do those gifts come from? Meaning, where do our talents come from. So now we're discussing how God shares his gifts with writers, poets.
And what are some of the things that are being said?
Each person receives their gift in their own particular way, and it's not like anyone else receives theirs. Some see visions, some hear words, but everyone's experience is different.
What is it that you share in that discussion?
I'm very quiet. I feel that I'm younger than many of the other men in this room, students in this room.
About how old are you at this point?
20. Mm-hmm. And the others seem 25 or something. So not a lot younger, but enough that I feel that they're more experienced than I am.
And how do you feel about what they say?
Well, they don't really know what they're talking about.
Why is that?
Well, I have the feeling that they are saying what the tutor wants them to say, or what they've just read from Milton. They're not speaking from experience. I'm quiet because what I experience is unlike anything that they are saying.
Tell me about your experience.
For me, the inspiration comes as a beam of light from above that comes straight into the top of my head. And that beam of light carries words, but also carries images. And it's just given directly. There's nothing indirect about it. It could not be more direct. This beam of light brings me information and inspiration.
And how long have you had that kind of connection?
Forever, since I was a little boy.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts or feelings about it? How do you understand it?
It's a gift. And that's why I find their conversation so lacking, because I feel this gift and I appreciate it for what it is. It never stops. It's not dependent on my doing anything. It just comes, and my job is to receive it.
Is there anything you need to do to connect with it?
No.
So does it come on its own time, or when you...
It's constant.
Oh, it never leaves?
It's like an aura, but it's an aura that is a shaft of light from the top of my head to the sky.
When you're writing, you're kind of more tapping into it?
Yeah, I think then I am paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I know that it's always there. And it's a particular light. It's an orange-yellow pulsating light.
Interesting. Now, do you have any religious beliefs?
I'm a Calvinist.
Does this conflict in any way with your religion?
No. It's just that it's something that nobody's talked about. I've never heard anyone describe it or discuss it. It's just something that I experience. So I don't know if others have it.
And have you shared it with anyone?
No.
Not even with your wife?
No.
Why would you not share it with her?
Well, because it's just so normal. I wouldn't share things about just my daily normal life or my thinking. It does not seem unusual. But now I think I appreciate that it's a gift. But up to this point, it's just been a part of me.
So do you realize now, during this conversation, that others may not experience inspiration that way?
Yes.
Okay. And does this change your view at all on this connection that you have? Or on the process of writing?
Just that this is my way, and everyone has their way. And there are as many different methods and gifts as there are people who receive them. But this is just my particular way.
I'd like you to take me into your process of writing when you connect with that light. Walk me through that experience.
I'm in the room where I write. I have a piece of paper, of parchment. I have a feather quill pen and ink. And I become aware of the orange light, and I open to it. I begin to become aware of words and phrases. It's not that I hear them, and it's not that I see them, but it's that I'm aware of them. And now the light extends down through my head, through my body, and into my hand, and through the pen. And I begin to write essentially what is being shared. So it feels very much like I'm being given what to write, and I copy it down. It comes in steady, consistent flow of energy that is not sporadic, it's consistent, as if I've opened a tap. And so I sit and I write, and then I finish, and I either go on to another piece of paper or I get up and do something else. But it seems that the poem, the sonnet, has just come essentially fully formed.
And when you finish writing it down, do you ever feel the need to go back and edit it?
Yes. So my ability to receive the words is not 100% clear. And so sometimes an image I will write down is not exactly what I intend or what I felt. So yes, I scratch through and I rewrite and I stay open to the light and I revise and rework, and in that way I've done some work. Otherwise it feels that I just simply write down what comes.
Are you guided by the light through the revision as well? Do you have a sense that you're on the right path or kind of walking away from the message that was intended?
Oh no, this light acts as an aura of confidence and of safety, and I know that I'm operating within it.
And so I'd like you now to travel in time to the moment when you completed your studies. And do you receive a diploma or some sort of document?
Yes.
So I'd like you to see that document and read it to me or tell me some key information.
It's a sheepskin with a red ribbon, which I open, and there's a seal. It's in Latin.
Now there is a universal translator that we're going to turn on right now, and the letters will just transform into the language that you can understand. You will just know what it says.
This document certifies that I have received the degree of Master of Arts and Literature, and all of the rights pertaining are granted. On this day, it's maybe 1642, something. And this is Oxford University.
And what is your name listed?
I'm seeing Hiram.
And how is it spelled?
Hiram. And then I see Thompson, Thompson.
Mm-hmm. And on this day, as you receive this diploma, what are your dreams and goals as you move forward?
I want to be a poet.
At this point, are you already married?
Yes.
So just allow those images to fade away. And on the count of 3, you will move to the next significant moment in that life. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me what's happening.
My wife, Mary, and I have moved to my parents' dairy farm. They have died. This is how I make a living. I don't make a living as a poet, although I do write. But I have dairy cows. My son and daughter also live on this dairy farm, and we work the farm together.
And why did you choose to take over the dairy farm?
I could not make a living as a poet. I wasn't a teacher, I wasn't a playwright, so this is our livelihood.
I see. And how do you feel about your life?
No, I feel good about my life. I understand that there has been great disappointment and great frustration, and I wish that I could have done something else. But this is a beautiful life, and I'm still able to write poetry.
Do you still publish it?
Yes, I think so.
So on the count of 3, I'd like you to move to the last day of that life. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me what you see.
I'm maybe around 70. I'm sick. I'm on a bed of straw, but also with linen. And my wife is there, my children are there. I also feel the presence of grandchildren. And I know that I'm going to die.
You said you're sick. What is wrong?
It's cancer, lung cancer.
Okay. Is there any medical help that you received?
I think there had been, but today it's just the family.
Okay. How long have you been sick?
2 years.
And how do you feel now as you approach the end of your life?
I feel good. I understand that I have had a gift, and I've been faithful in accepting the gift, and I've served the gift, and that is the inspiration of writing. I'm content with the life that I had and the career that I had, but what I understand is that the career is not important. That has very little to do with the gift.
So what was important? Just accepting the gift?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And loving that connection to God, because I know that's where the gift comes from.
Mm-hmm. Over the course of your life, did you remain on that dairy farm?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Your family, do they say anything to you?
Oh, it's clear that they love me and that they are sad that I am dying, but everyone in the room seems content. It's as if we all feel blessed.
So allow yourself to take one last breath, and as you breathe out, your spirit will gently and easily lift out of your body. And as you look back, what are your first thoughts and feelings about this life?
That the purpose of this life was to experience and appreciate my connection to God through this channel of writing. And that, for me, was the most clear appreciation and understanding of the presence of God that I had had in the lifetimes that had led to this.
So prior to this, you have not experienced this kind of clear connection?
I think that's fair. This feels like a dramatic way. It feels like I was allowed to see something or feel something rare. So because it was dramatic, I really got it.
Mm-hmm. Was this a long-term lesson that you were exploring, a connection with God?
Yes, I am understanding that the purpose of every life has been to appreciate my connection to God in some way or another.
Mm-hmm. And so as your soul is lifting higher and higher, you may find that there is someone greeting you and welcoming you back.
Yeah, there's an older man, and I don't recognize him, although I feel like maybe he's a grandfather figure. He's tall, he's strong, he's in his middle 70s, gray hair, clear eyes, very strong, calm presence. Someone I understand has been a guide, a protector in many lives.
He probably has a message for you or just something to say to you. What does he say?
The connection is always there, meaning my connection to God is always there. And my talents are the most direct connection to God.
Is he part of your soul family? Is he your guide for that life, or he's your guide throughout?
I feel like he's been a guide in many lives and is part of a soul group. He seems to be the one who welcomes me when I go to the other side.
And as you take one last look at those that remain behind, your wife, your children, your grandchildren, you will become aware of how life unfolds for them. What do you know about their future?
I see that I have taught them all something, and that is that life is more than just the daily challenges. And what I was able to teach them is that there is a creative energy, there's a connection that we all have that lifts us beyond the life of the dairy farm.
Mm-hmm.
And I see my children and grandchildren as being very happy and blessed by this understanding that they're not at the mercy of their life, that there's another truth as well.
So you made quite an impact on them through generations.
I did.
It's beautiful. So now allow all of those images to begin to fade and float into that magical space, and it allows you to create any time to be gently softened right direction towards another source, and it will bring you information and feels just allowing your body begin time and place awareness floating into drifting questions. And I'd like you to tell me the first thing that you see you reach a surface, or the first thing that you become aware of.
I'm on a fishing boat that is tied to a dock. I'm a fisherman. This is a small fishing village. I keep seeing Nova Scotia. So it's wet, it's cold. I'm male. I'm wearing protective rubber boots and kind of waterproof clothing.
What do you see around you?
I see other fishing boats, I see fishermen. I'm young, I'm a young man on this boat, and I fish with my father.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
At this moment, are you leaving or are you coming
We've
back?
just come back, and we've just docked, and we have our catch in large wooden crates that are filled with fish. It's been a good day's catch. My father is happy with our catch, I feel good too. We went out early. This is middle of the day. I would say it's around noon, and we're coming back and unloading the fish off the boat and putting the fish on the dock and securing the boat. And then we take the fish directly to a market, which is just right there, and sell the fish to the woman who's the fishmonger.
So on this boat, was it just you and your father?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about your father.
He's not very old. I would say he's about 40, 45. Very short hair, very ruddy complexion. He's rather slender, very fit, very active, very busy, very cheerful. He wants me to be busy. He doesn't like it if I sit down.
Do you like to sit down?
Yes.
And how do you feel about fishing?
Well, it's my life. It's what we do. It's what my family does.
Do you ever have any thoughts of doing anything else?
No.
Okay. So on the count of 3, you're going to see yourself standing in front of the place where you live. 1, 2, and 3. Describe it to me, please.
It's very near the water. It's a cottage. It's made of, it looks like stucco, painted white. There's a red trim around the doors and the windows. I see, I think, a thatched roof. But it's a very simple cottage where my father and mother and I live. Oh, and my little sister.
How old is your sister?
She's 3.
Okay. So go ahead and enter into the house. Tell me what you see inside.
It's essentially one room. There's a fireplace in the middle and a kitchen area next to the fireplace and a table where we eat, but also where we just do other work. Then on the other side, there are very simple beds. Oh no, there is an upper sleeping loft, but I sleep downstairs. My bed is in this room, this main area.
Mm-hmm. On the count of 3, you will see yourself having a meal with your family. 1, 2, and 3.
We're sitting around the table. We're eating fish stew. I think it's cod. I think we have a lot of cod. There are tankers of ale on the table. And there's a big loaf of bread that my mother has made for this meal.
And what's in the stew?
There's cod. There's also shellfish. And then some other kind of reddish fish. I'm not exactly sure. And it looks like a milk-based stew.
Okay. Any vegetables in it?
Oh, yes, there are vegetables. There are onions and potatoes. Oh, carrots. Nothing green.
Okay. Is this what you usually eat?
Yes.
Okay. What does your mom do during the day?
She stays in the house and takes care of my sister, bakes, prepares the meals. She's very much a housewife.
And now that you're 15, are you doing fishing kind of full-time along with the men?
Yes.
Have you had any schooling?
I have had some schooling, not much. But now I work with fishermen.
Are you able to read and write?
Yes.
Okay. On the count of 3, you're going to move to the next significant event in that life. 1, 2, and 3. What do you see?
My father has died. He had a heart attack and died while we were fishing. I'm not much older than I was before. I'm now 17, and the responsibility for feeding my mother and my sister now falls to me.
And how do you feel about that?
Very scared. I don't know that I can do this.
Do you have any support outside of your family, or you're completely on your own?
Yeah, there's no one else.
So in your village, do fishermen not work together?
Yeah. I can work with other fishermen, but there's no other family or close friends to come support.
And do you reach out to anybody else?
Yes. So there is another father and son who fish, and I approach them and offer to sell the boat and fish with them. They are happy to have the boat because they have an extended family, and it would be good for them to have another boat. So they pay me for this boat, and they say that I can come work with them. That's what I do.
How is it working out?
It's fine, but what I see is that this father is a deeply spiritual man, and I learned so much from him. His attitude toward life is completely different than my father's had been, what I had understood. He is constantly in prayer, and he is in constant conversation with God. I see that this is a blessing that I am now on this boat.
Mm-hmm. How much time do you spend working with them?
We go out at sunrise every day. We don't fish on Sunday. We go out every day at sunrise and come back when we've brought the catch in, usually around midday. So I'm with the father for hours every day, and at some point his son goes to work with other family members on their boats, which brings in more money to his family, but now it's the father and me. And I'm learning about the saints, I'm learning about religion, but mainly I'm being with this saint-like figure. Oh, and I'm understanding that his purpose in life is to teach me about God.
So we're going to move to the next significant event in that life. 1, 2, and 3. Tell me about it.
I'm no longer a fisherman. I'm a preacher. And it seems that I don't have a church. It seems that I am standing in the market and preaching. And what I am doing is telling of my understanding of God in my life. So it's me sharing stories that point to my relationship with God, and that also help the people who hear me see their relationship to God.
And how old are you at this point?
I'm 30.
At what age did you decide to stop being a fisherman?
30.
And how are you able to support yourself?
I'm given money by the people who hear me. I have a wooden bowl at my feet. People give me fish. People give me bread. I still live in the same house. My mother has died. My sister is not there. So I'm able to live, and my needs are provided.
Where is your sister now?
She married a fisherman and is there in the village. She's very close.
Okay. So when you preach in the market, how is it received by the people?
They listen. I don't have training as a preacher. All I have is the experience I had with my second father and my ability to tell stories.
Is your second father still around?
Yes, I think he is, although I don't feel that I have much connection anymore, that I see him.
What is your understanding of God? What do you teach people?
That God is our protector, and that no matter what happens, we are safe, and that our home is with God, and that we need to look beyond this earthly home and try to remember that we are safe in the arms of our Father who is our protector.
And are you affiliated with any religion or church?
No.
So when you preach, do you follow any traditionally accepted teachings of the church?
No, I think the closest would be that I am offering parables, much like Jesus offered parables.
Mm-hmm.
And they're related often to fishing, and they're related to the dangers of fishing, or the dangers of nature, or the unpredictability of life. So it's from my father having died and being in storms and having these images, these stories to tell, that I can still point them to a safety that exists beyond our circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the message, that we're safe regardless of what happens to our boat or what happens to us, frankly.
See. Do you have a relationship with your sister? Do you have any friends? Do you like anyone in the community?
I'm not married. I am just sort of unattached, but I'm very connected to the community. It's as if I'm a minister. Mm-hmm. It's as if I am attached to everyone, but equally and without kind of a special attachment. So I feel very much in a community.
Mm-hmm. And so on the count of 3, let's move forward in time to see how that progresses, and we're going to move to the next significant event in that life. 1, 2, and 3.
I'm an old man. I'm in my 70s or 80s, and I'm seated and I'm a teacher. I've developed a near constant communication with God, and I teach about God. It's moved beyond stories of fishing to deeper spiritual questions. And I have students. I have people who come and sit and learn from me, much like, a guru on a mountain. But here I am still, I think, at the fishing village. I have a place now to teach. I sit and people come and they sit and listen and they ask questions, and I'm regarded as the teacher.
And how long have you been doing this?
Easily 35 years.
Tell me more about constant communication with God.
This is what I saw my second father do. His example showed me, not that he taught me how to do it, but I could see it. That he opened to be a channel, and that's what I do. And in this life, it's as if I'm now in a constant state of meditation and can speak from my higher self. And that is what I'm attached to, and that is what I'm constantly accessing, and that's the source of the wisdom for my students. I'm almost out of the way. I feel that I'm not even present. The channel is so open.
Beautiful. Do you write anything down?
No.
So it's just talking?
Yeah.
Do you have any documents or anything in the village that may show you a date? You may see it somewhere, or just know what it was?
This is around 1800.
Okay. And so as I count to 3, you're going to move to the last day in that lifetime. 1, 2, and 3. And tell me what is happening.
I'm quite old. I'm seated. My students are around me. I'm teaching, and I simply disappear. There's no pain. There's no fear. I just leave.
Can you tell me more about that experience?
The channeling had grown to the point that it completely fills my whole being, and then it just expanded beyond my being. And I'm aware that my physical body then just fell, but I had expanded beyond my body. Wow. By this point, I really had an experience of oneness with God, of truly experiencing and understanding that I was not separate. So it's as if I just chose to no longer experience any separation at all.
And so your physical body didn't disappear, it remained.
Yeah, but that's not who I was. I just lifted out beyond it. I ballooned past it. That's what it feels like.
Okay. And did you select the timing? Did your students know that it was coming?
It was not conscious. It was a decision, but not one that I think my physical body understood.
Okay. As you shift your focus now to your soul awareness, and you reflect back on that human life, tell me what you understand now about the purpose of that life.
I wanted to have a constant communication with and awareness of God. The other thing is I wanted to have the experience of my body being the thinnest possible kind of shell, and that I was completely filled with God. And that is the experience that I ultimately had as I was becoming old and teaching. I just knew that this body was just a thin skin of a vessel, and that I could just easily, when I wanted to, just move beyond it. So this life was about understanding where spirit and body meet, or where the boundaries are, and realizing ultimately that there is not a boundary.
Did you remain single throughout that life?
I did, yes.
Okay. And was that a specific decision that you needed to stay alone?
As I became more spiritually full, there was no need for anything else.
I see. So I'd like you now to allow all of those images to drift away. And I want all of the consciousness and personality of Robert to once again return and fully integrate back into the body. I would like to ask the higher consciousness of Robert to step forward so we can ask it questions. Do I have your permission to speak to you and ask questions?
Yes.
Thank you. So you chose to bring forward the life of a poet and the life of a fisherman, teacher, and mystic. Can you tell us why you picked those particular lifetimes?
Robert has searched in this present lifetime for experiences that demonstrate how his gifts are accessed and shared, and also how he could experience the presence of God. And these two lifetimes were chosen because the life of the poet is so clear for Robert. For him, it demonstrates exactly how inspiration comes. And that is available to him in this lifetime. And then the life of the fisherman and preacher is a very clear demonstration for Robert of the presence of God in his own awareness. How he could take the balloon inside the body expanding as an image that he could take forward with him to experience the presence of God inside of him, around him, in this life as well.
Mm-hmm. If you could really amplify the experiences and the soul memories of those 2 lifetimes and really bring them to the forefront in his Akashic memory so that he can easily tap into the skills and abilities and the knowledge, the wisdom that he developed through those 2 lifetimes. Because they are a part of him. So he can almost pick up where he left off. Can you help him pull those memories forward?
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. In this life, he has stayed in the creative field, in the field of music, and he is a writer. And he is trying to figure out if in his next stage in life he should switch from music to writing and more from performing maybe to creating. What are your thoughts on this transition?
In this life, music has been the way that Robert has accessed the Spirit. And through music, he has had a direct connection to God. He has had that experience. He knows that feeling. He knows that power. And now is the time to turn that to writing so that he can share through writing that experience that he has had through his music, so that others who read what he writes can also appreciate the power of God acting in their lives.
So it almost sounds like the time when he was a teacher, he used his life experience as a fisherman to tell the stories that were teaching about God. Is this a similar way where he would be using his music and his life experience to teach about God?
If he chooses to. Writing about music does not have to be his method of sharing information about God. He could write about anything. Mm-hmm. And he will write about things other than music. Music has been the way he's channeled God to this point. And from this point on now, he will channel God through writing. And the subject may be music, but it largely will not be.
Okay. So as he heads towards retirement, he wants to know what the focus should be on the next chapter of his life. So should it be writing and communicating through that?
Yes. He has things to share. And his work is to discover what those things are. The method will be writing. Music has fulfilled its purpose for him. So the method now is writing, but the search will be, what is it that he wants to say and needs to say? And he will discover that.
So he wants to know how he can best contribute to the world.
He can learn from his life as a poet. He was being given inspiration in a way that was unlike anybody else's way. That image of the light coming from God straight into the top of his head was unique. And the lesson is he has something unique to say. And actually, he can also access that same shaft of light. That will be the vehicle for him to receive this information and this inspiration. But the larger lesson is there is something uniquely his to share, and that's the work.
Now, when thinking about the purpose for this life, partly he feels that he is a healer. Is that part of the identity of him being a teacher? Or is there another strand that comes through for him?
Robert is a spiritual teacher. And in his life from this point on, that mission will become clearer and clearer.
I wonder if you could take him to that moment when his soul was making a decision about entering into this life. Show him that selection process. When he was choosing what people he would meet, the significant events that would happen in his life, and just tell me what that experience is like.
Robert has chosen experiences in this life of fear and of having to hide who he is and conform. And all of those experiences of operating in a way that is safe were designed so that he could move beyond them and experience a life beyond fear. So that having come through those experiences, he's able to share great blessings. And he has chosen people in his life who remind him of his holiness and have allowed him his purpose in this life, which is to bless the world with his holiness. It's a life that is beautiful, and every step of the way has been a step of release and of expanding and sharing his understanding of God with those who are around him in a variety of different forms. And part of his search is to find the form. But the form is not the important thing as much as just recognizing this motion of sharing with those around him and with the world some truth about God.
I understand. So I wonder if you can zoom in a little bit more into that selection process. When a soul chooses its next experience, there are usually some options, and we can select the actual body or the people that will be in our life. So I wonder if you can share some of that, where there are some options as to the types of bodies or personalities he could embody in this life.
He chose to be gay in this life because that represented for him an obstacle, something that sets him apart and requires him to hide or to conform in order to be accepted. That decision has been very important in this life because he's had to move beyond those feelings of limitation that are brought on by his sexuality.
Were there other options?
Yes, but from the very beginning, this was an important experience.
Okay.
And so this was one of the primary goals of this life.
Okay. Anything else that was presented to him as an option when he was choosing his life?
He had the option of having a more difficult life. He could have chosen to have been born poor in Mexico and would have still been gay. And he chose this relatively easier life so that he could focus on things of the spirit and creativity and not have to expend as much energy for survival and living. The living of this life has served Robert, and this was the choice he made, that this life is going to be about creativity and spirituality. Everything else is secondary.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder if you can help him now see his soul family coming towards him. And as he reconnects with his soul family, perhaps some of the members can come forward and remind him who they are and what their role is in this life.
I see my mother, who tells me that she is with me always and reminds me to open my heart those feelings of love that I feel for the world and for music come from her. She gives me a way to express my love. I see my friend Jo, who has taught and is teaching me about strength and about knowing God and about expressing truth. I see my husband who steps forward to tell me that he has been with me to remind me to think of others. I see my student who reminds me of the joyfulness of creativity and of actualizing what I imagine my life can be. He demonstrates that daily. I see, it's Leonard Bernstein. He is my connection to music. When I make music, I'm channeling, and he's the conduit to that channel.
So he is working with you?
Yes. Yeah.
Is he serving as your technical guide in terms of the skills?
Yes.
Beautiful. Anyone else?
No, I think that's all.
Okay. And now I'd like you to become aware of a soul contract that you made with your husband. You said that he is here to remind you to help others. Can you expand on that? What is the role that you play in each other's lives?
The role I have played for him is to say yes to the future, to move fearlessly and creatively into our life. His role has been to teach me how to do that without harming others and to take other people into consideration. And so together we move forward, but in a way that is kind and does not harm others. I think I've been a great source of confidence and of security for. He's fearful in ways that I'm not fearful, but he's sensitive in ways that I can often not be.
So when you talk about harming, are you talking more about being insensitive?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So as your soul family begins to step back and fade away, I'd like to ask the higher consciousness to help Robert connect with his guides in this life. Some that are with him always throughout the lifetimes, and some that come in specifically into this lifetime. And if it is appropriate, and they are willing to come forward and connect with him, as they come forward, tell me what you're experiencing and describe to me who you're communicating with.
I am aware of a number of presences. I'm not seeing figures, but I do feel their presence. One is nearby me. I feel it behind me and to my right. That is here to help me write and is a source of inspiration and confidence for writing. This feels like a male, very strong presence.
I wonder if we can just ask it to come forward and make itself a little bit clearer known, if that's appropriate. And you may get a sense of whether you have had life experiences together or if it has never had physical incarnations.
I think this is the same as the second father, the fisherman. I think that's the same soul. He's the teacher and is in this life because the writing is about teaching. I also feel a maternal presence on my left side that I know is my mother, who is always with me and is constantly showing me the way and comes to me in nature. When I see birds, for instance, I feel her presence. When I hear music, I feel her presence. When I'm open-hearted, I feel her presence. So she is a constant guide, and that is very clearly my mother in this life. I see my dog Daisy, who died 15 years ago or 20 years ago. She expresses love and trust and expresses who I really am without the complications of being in a body. I can connect directly to her, and there it's all love and all trust.
Right. I would like to ask if there are any angelic beings that serve as your guides. And angels are typically those that have not had physical life incarnations.
Yes, the guide between my lives, he is an angel.
Mm-hmm. Is he with you throughout your existence?
Yes.
Okay. I also want to ask how you can become more consistently aware of those guides and of their guidance. So perhaps we can start with the angel. Is there any specific way that you need to invite him or interact with him?
He is laughing, they are all laughing, because what they're saying to me is they could not stand any closer than they already are. And if I will just open my eyes, I will see them. And if I will just pay attention, they're there. And I've never had an experience when they aren't there.
Mm-hmm.
But all it takes is the invitation.
Right. So this is one of Robert's questions. So all it takes is just inviting them in.
Yes.
Wonderful. I want to shift my focus back to the higher consciousness. So Robert wants to know if he has made a difference in this life, or precisely if he has made any difference in this life. So I'd like you to speak directly to him and address that question.
Robert, throughout his life, has acted as a channel for music. And the channel does not recognize the impact of what they are channeling. But the impact wouldn't be possible without the channel. So rest assured that every person who has sung with you or has heard your music has been healed to some degree by it. There's no one that has not been touched.
Is it sinking in? Is he hearing it?
Yes.
Okay.
He knows it.
The last question that I have, Robert sometimes feels lonely, which is sort of normal on this spiritual journey. And he wants to understand why that is.
The answer for Robert is that there is nothing that he should be doing that he's not doing. And he can release any expectation of what other people's behavior should be. His job is to love and to bless the world, and what comes, comes. So he can stop fretting about this.
So before we finish up, I'd like to ask the higher consciousness to do full body scan. Let me know if anything out of balance or needs our attention.
Robert is blessed with excellent health. He is also blessed with an aging body that could use some attention. Yoga would be valuable, stretching, continuing to walk, to be outside. These are the things that his body needs and even more now that he's getting older. And he will begin to feel the results of his not giving attention to flexibility and being limber. So now is the time to get outside and to move.
Are there any areas that you can help adjust and stretch for him?
His lower back is tight, as are the backs of his legs and his feet and ankles.
Can you please address that now and bring relief to those areas?
It's done.
Thank you. Is there anything else that needs attention?
No.
Good. Thank you. And before I let you go, I'd like to give you one last opportunity for today to speak directly to Robert and to leave him a message that he will take with him.
You're blessed. This life is a blessing. And your connection to God has never diminished. Step into that connection and translate it into creativity, into writing, into music. These are the ways that you can help others. And you're here for the purpose of helping others through sharing your experience.
Thank you. So now I'm going to ask the higher consciousness to recede to where it belongs, with much love and thanks for the help and information that it has given Robert today. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the session. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you click on the bell, you will be notified of any of my future postings. Thank you. Bye.